Ready for a vacation filled with magic and adventure? Look no further than Travel Magic. Book your enchanting getaway to Walt Disney's properties or cruise lines. Experience the excitement of Universal Studios. Indulge in luxury and all-inclusive sandals and beaches resorts. Leave the kids home and escape with Virgin Voyages, or bring the family and set sail on Norwegian or Royal Caribbean. Discover paradise with our hand-picked resorts in Mexico and Aruba. Visit us online and book your dream vacation today. Travel Magic, where your perfect getaway awaits.
You know, guys, unfortunately, we have a lot of bad news to talk about, but I want to start off on a lighter note. We've got amazing weather here at home. Tons of sunshine, blue skies, comfortable temperatures, dry air, all that kind of stuff. And it's going to continue for the rest of the week, into the weekend, and likely even into early next week as well. We've got some folks out on the boardwalk, that lady wearing a jacket because it is a little bit on the nippy side, believe it or not. Overnight lows got down into the 40s. I think tonight, and especially tomorrow night, we have an opportunity to see some areas into the 30s, so some patchy frost can't be ruled out of the equation. It's not up there right now with the strongest, but at one point Milton was the second strongest hurricane in recorded history in the Gulf of Mexico, coming very close to Rita back in 2005. The progression that we saw from a tropical storm to a powerful Category 5 and the rapid intensification process that it went through, just almost unfathomable. We have hurricane warnings in effect from St. Augustine into Cocoa Beach, Palm Bay, right across the center of the state, Leesburg, Orlando, the Disney area, Kissimmee, Spring Hill, of course, down into Tampa, Sarasota, Venice. This is where we are expecting the brunt of the impact, from Tampa to Port Charlotte and getting into Cape Coral as well, especially if that center makes landfall where the National Hurricane Center believes, right around Bradenton. Then the worst of the storm surge is actually going to be down to the south through Venice, Sarasota, Port Charlotte, and a southerly track would spare Tampa. We've been talking about this for 3 days now. A southerly track would spare Tampa of the worst flooding. You'll still get beat up with street flooding with the rain and the tremendous winds and all, but the worst flooding would be a little farther to the south. If you're in Southeast Florida, Fort Lauderdale, Kings Point, West Palm Beach, Homestead, Key Largo, Miami, there's really nothing to worry about. You might get a random thunderstorm that could produce a quick spin-up tornado, but for the most part, that threat is going to be in the yellow shaded area, Orlando, Port St. Lucie, Bradenton, as you are directly on the northeast side of Milton, and that is where the tornadic activity is most likely. So we talked about this concept that the ocean is going to have Category 5 wave memory. It turned back into a Category 5 yesterday afternoon. It maintained that intensity for about 12 hours. That energy got translated directly into the ocean. So you have a massive wall of water that is pushing towards the coast. This is how we're going to get that 10 to 15 feet storm surge. Look at some of those wave heights. 30 feet, 26 feet. Now, you're not going to have a 30-foot wave, a tsunami come your way, but this is going to, lead to that 10 to 15-foot storm surge. It's absolutely devastating and heart-wrenching to see. Numbers have shifted around a little bit because the National Hurricane Center is gung-ho with the idea that the landfall will be south of Tampa. We'll see. I mean, it is possible that there is a wiggle room, some wobble that brings it just to the north. We are talking literally the difference of 15 or 20 miles. It's a hair. And I hope that's the case for sake of Tampa. But unfortunately, there is no good scenario here, because if it does go south, the storm doesn't disappear, that water gets displaced, and all of a sudden Bradenton, Sarasota, Laurel, Venice, Port Charlotte dealing with that massive storm surge. Going down a little bit farther south, Bonita Springs, Naples, 8 to 12 feet surge, 6 to 9 feet for the Golden Gate area. Even on the East Coast, looking at some storm surge up to 6 feet. So what does storm surge look like? Well, take a look at this graphic. I think the National Hurricane Center, NOAA, did a great job of illustrating this. Here's a normal 2-story home. Average male, 5'9", 5'10". I'm 6 foot. We're expecting at minimum the surge to be a little over 6 feet. If the calculations are correct and we see 10 to 15 feet in storm surge, this is unsurvivable in a single-story home. If you're in a two-story home, sure, you could be above the floodwater, but with the intense winds coming your way, there's a good chance that your roof gets ripped off. So a dangerous situation to be in for sure, but 9 to 12 feet, that is where a lot of the area is going to fall, and that is well over what level is survivable. 100% chance of tropical storm winds up to 73 miles an hour from Tampa to Cape Coral. These areas, in my opinion, are pretty much 100% chance for hurricane force winds as well. But that's going to radiate from the center. And we are looking at 70 to 90 mile an hour gusts from Gainesville, the Villages, Port Orange, Orlando, Palm Bay, Port St. Lucie. But the 110, 120 mile an hour gusts are going to be focused right on Tampa, Bradenton, Sarasota, Venice. That is where the worst of the winds will be, right around that eye wall. So we are seeing some of that heavy rain already move in. There's going to be a lot more to come this afternoon and evening. The worst of the weather, especially for the coast, will come late tonight into very early tomorrow morning. Here's 9 a.m. Storm starting to wrap up and head offshore. And then once it heads offshore, it is no threat to anybody. It goes harmlessly out to sea. So we've got the massive tidal flooding, historic in some cases, but also significant flooding on the mainland where some folks could see 10 to 15 inches of rain in total. That'll overwhelm the infrastructure. There's going to be water rescues. You combine that with tornado threats, combine that with winds even on the mainland gusting to 70 to 90 miles an hour. It is just a disaster across the board, and our hearts go out to everybody impacted. Some upper 30s are possible tonight, otherwise lower 40s. I think we get a little bit colder tomorrow night. Highs only top out in the low to mid 60s for your Thursday. Your 7-day forecast, 77 on Saturday, 75 on Sunday. A few clouds try to work in middle of next week with a front coming in, but look at those temperatures. Well below normal for this time of the year. Have yourselves a great day. Meteorologist Brittany Trumpy will be in at 3.